Welcome to the EmpowerHer Wellness podcast. I'm Morgan, and I'm thrilled to be your host and wellness coach as we navigate the path to a healthier, more confident you. As the owner of Get Fit With Me, I bring years of experience in personal training, nutrition, and coaching to each episode. Join me as we explore practical tips and strategies for fitness, nutrition, mindset, and more, all tailored for busy women just like you. Let's empower your wellness journey and achieve lasting transformation together. Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Welcome back to an episode of the EmpowerHer Wellness podcast. I'm your host and coach, Morgan Ekovich, and today we're going to be diving into portion control and how we can realistically measure our food, create mindfulness, and feel better about what we're eating throughout the summer without a scale, without measuring cups, without feeling like we have to count every calorie and macro. Today's conversation was inspired by a client of mine who, when we work together, we use an accountability app called My Coach, and I help you create your actions and set you up for success. And about probably 2 months ago now, she had said she wanted to start implementing less is more. And sometimes our actions are drink 90 ounces of water. Sometimes they're a little saying that we need to remember throughout the day. And she started implementing this less is more mantra. And it really made me think about how much as humans we overconsume, not just food-wise, but also when we buy things, and we are overconsumers as humans, especially Americans. So I wanted to take that mantra of less is more and pair it with portion control and mindful eating, and a little bit of how to use our hand as a measuring tool so that you can feel successful, so that you can feel like you are getting the right amount of food this summer, but also at the same time, you aren't overeating or you are just feeling so disconnected from your body. So as we move into here, the less is more, take that however you'd like to. What I don't want you to take from that is she's telling me to eat less food to be smaller. No. What I'm telling you is a lot of times we tend to overeat and we don't even realize it until it's too late. So for instance, I am somebody who loves a bagged salad. They're simple, they're easy, they're quick. I can add a source of protein. If I make that whole bag salad and I am home alone and I put it in a bowl, I will eat the entire bag salad. I will eat it. And I'll get to the end and I'll be like, oh, kind of full now. Probably a little overly full. But if Mike is home and we split the salad, or if we have people over and we split it between more than just 2 people, I notice that the amount of salad that I'm having still satisfies me, still helps me get my vegetables in, still makes me feel full. So with that, I want you to think about that in the terms of sometimes it's not that we need to eat less to feel better, but we just need to be aware of how much our body actually needs. And that's what we're going to talk about today when we talk about hand and portion sizes, because we are so disconnected from our taste buds to our brain, to our stomachs, to how we actually feel, that we are go, go, go. We eat way more than a portion size. A lot of us don't even know what a portion size is. And we haven't actually created awareness by turning that box around and reading, well, 1/4 of a cup is a serving of trail mix. How often do we grab 3 or 4 handfuls of trail mix? And it's not bad. Today we're not talking about, oh, you've had 3 cups of trail mix. I'm not telling you it's bad. Am I saying there's probably different options out there that we should be pairing with that trail mix? Absolutely. I want you to just start to notice when you leave today's podcast and start to think, am I consciously aware of how much, not just what, of how much I am putting on my plate or I am consuming? That's all we're doing today, is we're starting to create some awareness. So with that, first thing that we're going to talk about is the hand measurement method. And I learned this from Precision Nutrition, their coaching program, and I love it. I learned it back in college and I use it on a regular basis. I use it with my clients when we do a food log initially and I start to see, hey, we're missing some protein or we're missing some vegetables. I don't tell you, okay, add a cup of vegetables. Add 4 ounces of protein. Very few of my clients are ones who I give them actual numbers. 90% of my clients, we use this hand measurement method. This is what I use for myself because it's convenient and it is always accessible. You are always going to have your hands with you, whether you are on a beach, you are up north, you are at home, you are at the office, wherever that may be, you are going to have your measuring tool accessible. This also is going to keep you from carrying around a scale or those collapsible measuring cups or those little 21-day fix cups, whatever your measuring tool has been in the past. We're going to try to get away from those because they're not realistic. You get really good, you get really consistent, and then all of a sudden life throws a curveball, or you just didn't start to enjoy life and you realize you don't want to carry around those things. The other thing it's going to do is help you create a guide to follow. And when we do anything nutrition-wise, go back to our earlier episode where we talked about food logging. I will always do a food audit for you. So if you are looking for a food audit and you want to log your food, go back. I believe it's episode 2 or 3. Don't remember off the top of my head, but I know it's one of those. Go back to the beginning of our podcast. So basic hand measurements. So I know you are listening right now. You can always check us out on YouTube to get the visualizations here, but I'm going to be very descriptive, so you don't have to unless you want to. So we have 4 different types of measurements. First one is our palm. So the palm of your hand, from like that knuckle down to kind of that wrist area, that is going to be our protein portion. So the one thing to remember is it's not just the size of your palm, but it's also the thickness of your palm. So think about that. Another way to kind of remember this is a deck of cards. So if, for instance, if for some reason your palm is not connecting with your brain, think of a deck of cards. Maybe you got a deck of cards with you. We all visualize things differently. But that is going to be our cottage cheese. That's going to be our meat, our fish, our eggs, our Greek yogurt, things like that. That is going to be your protein, is that palm. 1 cupped hand. So not 2 hands together making a cup like you're drinking water, but 1 hand with a slight cup. That is going to be your carbohydrates portion. So if you're trying to figure out how many carbs, you kind of take and say, okay, do I have a handful, like a cupped hand here? That's going to be our whole grains, potatoes, beans, and our fruit. The next one is our fats, or our healthy fats. So seeds, oils, butters, nuts, things like that. That is the length of your thumb, thickness and height. So just kind of keep that in mind. And this also refers to when you are cooking. So if you're using olive oil to cook every morning, keep in mind, are you using a full thumbful? That is a huge serving of olive oil. Are you using just a little bit? Did you get a spray thing? Like things like that to remember. And then a fist size serving. So make a fist kind of like you're going to punch somebody, or you're really kind of making fists with your hand. That right there, all the way around, is how many vegetables, is about the size of a serving of vegetables. So knowing that, you've got your palm for protein, cupped hand for carbs, thumb for healthy fats, and then fist for vegetables. So now you know what a serving looks like. Instead of having to get out that measuring cup or having to bring that scale, zeroing it out. Where to start? So Morgan, great, I have all these palm sizes. Where do I start? What do I need to be doing? First thing, I try to advise everybody after you food logged, and even if you haven't food logged yet and you're just starting, start to be aware of, do you have at least 1 palm-sized serving of protein at every single meal and snack? If you do not, if you notice that at breakfast you are not getting that, that is a really good spot to add in that palm-sized serving of protein. So, palm size, breakfast. At least 1 palm-sized serving of protein at each meal or snack. Great place to start, great place to make sure we've got those baselines covered. Next one. First off, make sure you're eating a vegetable a day. A fist-sized serving of vegetables a day. If you are not doing that, start with 1. Get up to 2, get 2 consistently, and we're just going to work our way up from there. Vegetables contain fiber. Some of those carbs that we're going to talk about in a sec also contain fiber. But we hear everybody talking about that protein goal, protein goal, protein goal. Yes, we also have a fiber goal that we need to be worrying about and hitting. It helps with our digestive system and a bunch of other things that we'll cover in another episode. So vegetables are important. I know for many of you, you may not like vegetables. Try them. A lot of times it's because we don't know how to cook them correctly. So if you are unsure and you are struggling to eat vegetables, send me a message. I can guarantee, I used to be the kid who my parents would put 4 peas on my plate, literally 4 peas. You know how small peas are? I would literally take them like pills. I would swallow them with milk because I did not want to have to chew them because I thought they were the most disgusting things in the world. So coming from a person who'd only eat carrots, corn, and iceberg lettuce for really until she got to college, you can learn how to like vegetables. A lot of it is the way they're prepared. Also, a lot of them is our taste buds have changed over time. So if you're somebody who has said, I just don't like them, I just don't like them, I just don't like them, have you tried them recently? Used to not like mushrooms up until about a year ago. I started trying them on a regular basis. I love mushrooms. Am I going to eat them raw? No. But will I eat them cooked? Yes. I will not pick them out of things anymore because I do like the flavor that it brings to the table. So we've talked about protein, we've talked about our vegetable. Let's talk about that cupped hands of carbs. So those carbs, remember those are whole grains, those are potatoes, beans, and fruit. We want 2 to 3 of those a day. So if you think about that, that is at every single meal you have a serving of carbohydrates, whether that's fruit or you have a potato or you have some sourdough or you've got some beans at dinner, whatever that looks like, you have at least 1 per meal. Reason being is we cannot cut out carbs. Carbs are really important for our brain function. And a lot of times that is the first thing as women we choose to cut out because we see fast weight loss very rapidly. Well, that's only because we're losing the water weight, which you've heard me talk about before. So it's really important that we don't just cut them out, but we find that we are adding in the right types of carbohydrates for our body. Sweet potatoes are a great one. Are we getting some sweet potatoes in our day? I love sourdough. Sourdough is so much better for my body than normal bread. Maybe it's some rices. Maybe it's, like I said, some fruit. Things like that. Making sure we're getting 2 to 3 cupped hands. Remember, it's just 1 hand cupped. It's not both together like we're drinking water. It's 1 hand. And then when we talk about those fats, I want you to, like I mentioned, be very aware of not just the height of your thumb, but the width. And notice not just is that on our plate, but are we cooking with it? So I don't want you to focus after today on, I need to make sure I have X amount of thumbs. No, I want you to notice how many thumbs you are having throughout your day. So cheese, olive oil, butter, nuts. If you are a snacker, we are most likely living high fat. I'm going to be honest, when I track my food, my diet is always high fat. Not like high fat, like out of this world, but I'm going to tell you I'm higher fat than what the number goal is that they tell me I should be. Because there's fat in beef. There's fat in the bacon. There's fat in the cheese. There's fat in things, and it's not bad. But I just want you to be aware of more so those nuts, those seeds, those oils, those butters. Just how much are you using in the things you consume? So being aware of those things, that's all we're doing today, is using your hand to become aware of how much you are putting on your plate and how much you are actually eating. And you can do this at home, and you can do this when you're at a restaurant. So this is not an exact science. And to be honest, a scale is not going to be an exact science, nor is measuring cups. Anything that involves us as humans, there is human error. For instance, you have a measuring cup. Maybe most of the time you scrape off the top. This time you didn't, and it was heaping over. It's going to give you a different number. You're going to end up adding calories. Or it's under a cup. You're going to end up having under the amount of calories. When it's on the scale, how many of us have probably used a scale before, notice that it was over by a few grams, takes the spoon, eats it, and then the scale says the right number, but you've actually just still consumed the thing. Human error. We do it. It's out of habit. It's things like that. So no matter what you do, there is going to be some human error. But I do find the hand method is the easiest in the form of helping us actually connect to our bodies and visually start to see things, because I see my hands every day, and being able to look down and say, oh, okay, I'm getting what I need to. I have a palm size serving of protein at every single meal and snack. I am good to go. So That right there is where I tell people when we are starting to move to mindful eating, there may be times where I'm like, hey, we should measure this with a measuring cup, or we should use a scale. Very few and far in between. Most of the time, we are going to get really good at using our eyes and our hands to create that awareness. So some frequently asked questions that I get are, when do you measure your food with your hands? Is it when it's cooked or uncooked? Always when it's cooked, when it's time to actually consume it. Have you ever seen rice? Rice grows. Have you ever seen pasta? Pasta grows. So keeping those things in mind. Next question I get is, how do I account for things like stir fries or chilies or any of those dishes or casseroles that are like multiple ingredients? You know, there's fat, carbs, protein, and vegetables all in there. How do I know? Well, the answer is kind of the same if you're using a scale or you're using a measuring cup. If you are not the one physically making this and accounting for every single thing that goes in it, we're going to guesstimate. It's what we're going to do. Be as accurate as you can. If you feel like, for instance, chicken, broccoli, cheddar casserole, I used to love that as a kid. Still love it. Haven't made it in a while. But if I know that when I scooped mine, I didn't get very much chicken, I'm going to make sure I make some chicken on the side, or I order some chicken to make sure I get enough of that protein to get closest to that palm. Same thing if I notice in that casserole, I get mostly the cheese and the rice and the cream of whatever that goes in there, and I only got 2 little things of broccoli, I'm probably going to ask for some broccoli on the side, or I'm going to make extra. So when you are doing it at home, make some extra protein and veggies on the side. You can always add them in if you feel like you need to. Same with those stir fries. Oftentimes it's not a full serving of vegetables, so add a little bit more. I always double meat my chili because between the beans and the meat in it, I know I'm hitting my protein goal. I know I'm hitting that carb goal. If anything, I'm lacking a vegetable because we don't really throw very many vegetables in chili. If beans go in chili or not, that is a whole different debate. I think beans deserve to be in chili. Some of you are thinking, absolutely not. Beans do not belong in chili. We've had that conversation before. But I'll do vegetables on the side. So finding those balances in all of that. So once again, it's not an exact science. Use your best judgment. But also, if you're having something like chili and you usually do it in a big cereal bowl, start in a smaller bowl and see, how does that feel? Does that make you feel a little bit better? Do you finish it and feel satisfied instead of, oh, I have this big cereal bowl full of chili and now I have like half of it and I'm full, but I feel like I should finish it because it's in front of me, because I grew up in the clean plate club. So you've heard me say it before if you listened to previous episodes, and I'm going to say it again because I think it's super important. You could always go back up for more. Always. You can always stop eating when you feel full with the food in front of you. You can do both. I'm going to tell you what. Taking less to begin with is going to be easier than stopping eating when there's still food in front of you, especially if we are in the beginning stages of creating mindful eating techniques for ourselves. Myself included. I've been practicing for about 10 years and it is still a struggle when I have like 3 or 4 bites left and I'm feeling full. I feel good. I'm like, oh, there's only 3 or 4 bites. I have now gotten into the habit of, it's okay to save it. I will literally put it in a Tupperware dish and it will look like the most pathetic thing in the world. That's okay though. I will also just sometimes throw it out. But that right there is so much harder to do than just taking less and going up for a little bit more every single time. So if you are somebody who's wanting to get more mindful and you're noticing that you just can't stop and you were part of that clean plate club growing up, just start taking less. Take less, slow down, really start to enjoy the flavors, start to notice how much, use your hands, start to be radically aware of what you are consuming and how much you are consuming. To kind of tie on to that, let's say we've got 4th of July coming up. And one of the things that I absolutely hate is when we sit around the food. So we're in family style and the food's in front of you. It is tempting not to just grab more and grab more, even if we are not hungry. So I love when it's like in one area and then you go sit somewhere else and you enjoy, and you have to get back up and you have to go and get more when you want more. That being said, if you put something on your plate and it doesn't taste good, you do not have to finish it. There's no obligation. There's nobody that's going to be like, oh, you didn't finish my food. No. To be honest, when we're in situations like that, people are bringing a lot because they know there's going to be a lot of people. That does not mean you have to finish it. If you grab some Jell-O salad and it was really not your jam, do not finish it. Do not finish it. Keep it on your plate and throw the plate away when it's done. You have no obligation to finish the food if you did not like it. Have a bite, make your decision from there. The last little piece I'm going to say here as we're talking about mindful eating and portion sizes and just kind of creating some of that awareness is, okay, you can have a small serving of ice cream, a small serving of cake, a small serving of chips, or not even a full serving. You can have a little bit of something and still say, oh, I had cake and ice cream today. There is nowhere that says cake and ice cream. To say you had cake and ice cream means you had to have had a huge slice and 2 scoops. No. One of my favorites is when we go to Dairy Dan's, getting the baby size, or even Culver's. Did you know they have minis? The minis are plenty ice cream because I'm not a huge sweet tooth, but every once in a while I want something. That when I found out they have these mini sizes, that was the perfect amount. For me, it satisfied my needs and I still got exactly what I needed I had ice cream today. And I felt good about it instead of I got the extra large cone and it was really way too much and I ate it all and then I felt guilty because I didn't eat all of it because then I threw it away and then that was a waste of money. We spiral. We spiral as humans. We do. So if you are somebody who does struggle with feeling like they need to eat everything, try to find your smallest portion. I can guarantee if you slow down and you savor it and you've ate balanced meals like we talked about with that protein, those carbs, the vegetables, your thumb, all of that, that you will notice that when those salty cravings or those sugar cravings come on, that they are not so intense that a smaller portion is going to satisfy that. If you are not eating balanced, you are going to keep craving them. You are going to keep searching for them. So keep that in mind. If you are ending up with lots of cravings, we need to look at what the rest of your day looks like, not just in that moment. So the last little thing I'm going to say here as we're talking about this is you've started to become super aware of your carbs, your protein, your fat, your vegetables. Once you start to feel confident with that, the next thing I want you to do is start to make sure you're looking at the nutrition facts on anything you buy. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I am saying this because we are so disconnected from how much a serving is. That when we have trail mix is only 1/4 of a cup. I believe, the last time I looked on one of my bags. 1/4 of a cup. Okay. How many times we reach in there with multiple handfuls when we do trail mix? Trail mix is good. That's what I do. We are over consuming. So less is more. If we slow down, if we try it, if it satisfies what we need in that first serving, in that serving of trail mix, we are going to feel good and we don't need to have all those excess calories and food. But if we notice that after that first handful or that first serving, we still need a little something, get a little something. That's okay. But start to turn those packages around and see, what does a serving look like? Is it a cup? Okay. Is it about chips? Or like if you were to actually count out like 20 chips, some of us may be like, wow, that's a lot. Some of us may be like, whoa, I totally eat more than that. Some QD dip and chips, I can smash an entire bag and an entire carton. I could do it. It would taste really good, but I would feel uncomfortable after. So for me, I have to, for my control and to know that I am not going to mindlessly eat until I feel like crud, I take my chips, I take about a cup, a palm size, like cup full here with my hand. I'll throw that on a plate. And then I will also take about 2 tablespoons of that dip and I'll put that and I will put it all away. And then I will take myself to a room where I'm away from it. So maybe that's the kitchen table, maybe that's the breakfast bar, maybe I am taking myself to the living room because it's an evening snack, whatever that is. And then I'm going to enjoy it. And when they're gone, I'm going to just put the plate down and I'm just really going to savor it. So there's a ton of different mindful eating techniques that we can focus on and talk about, but those are some of the ones that I wanted to share today. That if you are feeling overwhelmed with the summertime and just like, I feel like we are just consuming so much that there's always treats around, there's always this, there's always that. Less is more. So often that little bit of slowing down and savoring is going to satisfy that need that we are looking for. Like, that ice cream was just so good. I just needed a few bites. Just needed that. Or you just needed a few chocolate chips. We didn't need the whole candy bar. But you don't know unless you try. It's not bad if you needed the entire thing, but a lot of times we don't because we just go for big. We supersize. We do all the big things and we overconsume. So as we wrap up, I want to remind you that palm, thickness, and size up front, that is going to be your protein size. Cupped hand is going to be your carbohydrates. Remember, that's your whole grains, your potatoes, your beans, your fruit. Your thumb, all the way around, height and width, is going to be your nuts, seeds, butters, and oils. There's a lot of those hidden in our foods. That's where we hide a lot of things when we cook and when restaurants cooked. And then our final one is that fist-size serving for our veggies. So go back to the beginning. If you're like, where do I start? Go back. I told you where we needed to start. So if you've made it this far, things that I want to remind you of as we wrap up is our summer strength training boot camp is in full swing. We've been going for about 4 weeks now, and session 1 ends on July 9th, and then the next week we'll start our session 2. Feel free, if you are interested, to click the link in the show notes to sign up, join session 2. We would love to have you. And then if you have any questions or you want more one-on-one nutrition advice, send me a message. My email's in the show notes. I'd love to do a food log audit for you completely free. Just send me an email, say I want to do a food log audit, and I will get you set up from there. So until next time, have a fantastic rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the summer, get out and move, and I will talk to you soon. Thank you for tuning in to the EmpowerHer Wellness podcast. I hope you found today's episode inspiring and packed with actionable tips. Remember, your journey to becoming the strongest, most confident version of yourself is just beginning. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and join our community of empowered women. Until next time, stay strong and stay confident.